Oh.
Two of these are from St. Greg's. Did they get a copy of this? Did they get a copy of this too?
Just one of them sweaty water fish into the bog, blocks all the bogs and everything.
A warm welcome to Hilton Park, Lee, for the British Gold second test. For the British Gold second test here at Hilton Park. Let's run through the two teams quickly. Barla Young Lions line up with Adrian Spencer at fullback. The wingers are Kerry Tyra and Danny Ellison. Centres change to your programme, Phyllis Sand, Darren Wilson. The halfbacks line up, Neil Kelly at standoff, Sean Malone from Lee East at scrum half, Craig Makin, John Clark, Andrew Rasburn make up the front row. The second rows are Graham Morton and Simon Knox, who's captain from Hesningham. And the loose forward, Danny Barker, he comes in for David Stevenson, who was injured in the first test. Australian schoolboys, they line up with Craig Makepeace at fullback. The two wingers are Tim Horan and Tim Patterson. The centres are Michael Button, who's captain as well, and Jamie Olnick, who had a great game in the first test match. The halfbacks line up, Craig Weston at standoff, Damien Chapman at scrum half. The front row, Roger Best, Joshua Stewart, Stuart Collins. The second rows, Andrew McIlwain and Anthony Pauling. And the loose forward, the youngest man of the tour, Sidney Dominic. The substitutes for both sides, Barlow Young Lions, are Craig Murdoch, Kay Brookfield, Bob Appleyard and Richard Tiffany. The Australians are Craig Simon, Glenn Sean Ryan and Daniel Williams. We've had the toss, and it's going to be Great Britain attacking from right to left in this first half. Australia from left to right with, I think, Great Britain kicking off. Remember, back to the first test, it was only really the last 20 minutes when the Australians ran away with the game, running in some 3 or 4 tries against really some non-existent Great Britain defence out wide. But I'm sure here today, Brian Chambers will have made sure his side's a lot more strong in the centres. We've seen already that he's moved Phyllis Sand to centre and Kerry Tyre onto the wing. Neil Kelly's moved to standoff and he's brought in Sean Malone at scrum half, axing Kerry Brookfield from the hooker position as Great Britain get us underway here for this second test here at Hilton Park. And straight away, the Great Britain forwards getting into the Australian counterparts. And straight away, Great Britain get caught with a penalty, and there's a late hit from, I think, Simon Knox, the captain. Certainly wasn't appreciated from the referee tonight, Mr. Nick Oddy from Halifax. His judges are Alan Reid from Halifax and Colin Towett, also from Halifax. But it's given us our first penalty of the game. There's a strong wind blowing around Hilton Park here, Lee. The pitch is quite muddy, but not too wet, so we will be able to see some of them back moves from the Australians that really have improved as the tour's gone on. It's going to be very difficult for the Australians here tonight to record their 8th victory, or rather the 7th victory of the tour. It would be their 8th victory if one of the games hadn't been postponed, because Great Britain, I'm sure, will be fired up for this game and will want to put up a lot better performance than they have done in the last test. Straight away, it's Australia on the attack. They've got a platform here to build something for the backs. Here goes Roger Best. Sean Malone getting in there, as well as the hooker from East Leeds, John Clark. And the ball's been robbed. There's appeals that it was pinched in the tackle, and yes, Australia are going to get a penalty some 15 yards out from the Great Britain post. And I'm sure Damien Chapman will want to kick for goal. No, they're going to go for the 6 pointers. Joshua Stewart going alone. Damien Williams in there just holding things up on the Great Britain line. Oh, it's real power stuff here, but Joshua Stewart decides he's going to have to go it alone again. No, maybe the ball needs to be moved wide. Chapman and Weston both looking for the long pass. Here's Weston. Can he get the ball away? Yes, he looks for the pass wide to Horan, but it's lost. And Great Britain come away with the ball. Sidney Dominic in there with the tackle. And number 11 there, Graham Morton. Great Britain driving the ball out. They need a good kicking game. They've got to make sure they don't concede any points. They stayed in the match as Rathbone gets knocked back some 5 yards. Up to the last 20 minutes in that first test at Headingley, and then in that last 10-15 minutes they really did lose things out wide. And here does come the kick from Kelly. It needs to be a good one. Fortunately it was straight at Craig Makepeace. Makepeace, who likes to run at the defence. There he goes, down the wing. Adrian Spencer there with his first tackle of the game at fullback. Chapman gets the ball to Weston, but not much room for Weston, but he steps out of that tackle brilliantly, and Rathbone pulls him down just outside the 25. Here's Chapman again, feeding Andrew McIlwain. This time McIlwain really is a massive forward, and it takes 3 or 4 Great Britain players to pull him down. Danny Barker in there at the bottom, as well as the hooker again, John Clark. Oh, that's a nice release, but he just couldn't get there, McIlwain, but he keeps the ball in play. Clark comes in over the top. Real defensive stuff now from Great Britain. You don't want to concede a try here early on. Weston feeds the ball wide. Makepeace coming into the line, but he's well tackled there by Simon Knox. Kelly in there also, but still the ball's alive with Dominic. And finally he's brought down, and the touch judge on that far side has come in. He's spotted something illegal, obviously. Mr. Reid down the far side from Halifax. All the officials here tonight from Halifax playing international rules, 35 minutes each half, 4 substitutes allowed, all 4 can be brought on, but you can't come back on once you've left the field, unless of course you go in the blood bin. And Australia now have the 5th penalty of the game so far. And we've only had an amazing 4 minutes, so that's less than 1 a minute. Here goes number 12, Anthony Pauling, moving from his hooker position where we saw him early in the tour. Chapman brings in McIlwain. McIlwain driving the ball in. Good tackling again there from the Great Britain forwards, Knox and Barker. And also the hooker again, John Clark, who's getting through a lot of work early on. Chapman misses out Weston that time, but the ball goes to ground there. Tim Horan, I think it was, or maybe even Michael Butner, the captain, putting the ball to Creed as Great Britain get their first penalty of the game. Craig Makin from Wigan St Jude's just been given a bit of the rough stuff then from the Australians. A lot relies on people like Makin and Rathbone and Morton and Knox and Barker. They're the forwards that have got to provide the platform for the backs. And here goes Morton, he misses him out though and gives it to Barker instead. Or rather Rasburn. Good running again from the forwards. They did that at Headingley against the Australians. They all ran hard and strong. None of them gave up as Kelly looks to feed one of them. Now maybe look to move it wide. No, he does get it away. Far side, Knox releases the ball to the wing to Hassan, but he's well tackled there on that far touchline by the Australian cover. Now maybe a platform for the Great Britain backs. Now the kick comes in and Australia come away with the ball. Let's see if they can put something on. Good tackle from Andrew Rasburn. Chapman not getting anywhere with that one. Weston going forward. He also can't move any distance. Collins. And he's broke the line, Stuart Collins, and he's gone round the fullback, but number 5, Danny Ellison's just coming back to tackle him. Try-saving tackle there from Danny Ellison. And amazingly, he's given away another penalty. Ellison did everything right then. And I think it was in fact number 4, Darren Wilson, who was the offender, because Ellison got off him straight away and Wilson was the man to keep him down. Here goes Weston again. Power running from the Australians. Because Collins goes it a long try for Stewart. Joshua Stewart, yes. Joshua Stewart comes up with the first try of the game. Silence around me. 6 minutes gone and Joshua Stewart puts the Australians in front with a very, very simple try. Confirmation over the tannoy. Joshua Stewart with a very, very simple try. Joshua Stewart from St Paul's High School, Manly, in the northern suburbs of Sydney in New South Wales. A talented competitor who can play anywhere in the forwards, and he's shown that already on the tour at 18 years of age and 5'11" tall. He also weighs in at 14 stone and has represented the Manly Warringah Sea clubs in the Matthews Cup. Josh Main's interest, apart from rugby league of course, is surfing. His main aim of the immediate future to win his test series against the barla, and well, he's put them on the road to doing just that. Joshua Stewart with a try after 8 minutes. There's 1,000 or so people here, but there really isn't the atmosphere that there was at Headingley. It's a cold night, not much rain, but a strong wind. As Chapman lines up the kick, and he's put it through the post. Damien Chapman increases the Australian lead to 6 points. And now it really is a test of the Great Britain team. 1 test to 0 down, a real drubbing in that game at Headingley. And now 6 points to 0 down after just 8 minutes of this second test. Here comes Best. He really does like to run with the ball, Roger Best. Gets through it an incredible amount of work. Stewart, who just scored that try from dummy half a few minutes ago, decides to go it alone again. Knock on by Best there though. Yes. In fact it was Andrew McIlwain putting the ball to ground, and Great Britain now will get the scrum. Clark feeds and comes away with it to Kelly. Kelly, who was very impressive in that first test match, brings in Spencer, who gives it him back. Nice bit of passing movement, but they've not really got anywhere as Wilson's finally brought down. Oh, nowhere for Kelly to go there. Now maybe a chance to move it wide. Clark to Kelly, Kelly to Knox. Knox has got men outside, but the pass has been intercepted, and a chance here for Australia. It's going to be the second try of the game for number 5, Tim Patterson. Patterson with a very simple try. The pass from Kelly, and then to Knox. Knox looked for the outside ball. It was never on. Patterson, who's done that 3 times on the tour already, read it well, intercepted, and had no opposition to run for the second try of the game. It's come over on the tannoy, Tim Horan, but I'm pretty sure that it was Tim Patterson. We will add confirmation to either, but from my viewpoint it looked like Tim Patterson, unless he's had a nose change. No matter who scored it, it's increased Australia's lead to 10 points now, and we're still inside the first 10 minutes, and Chapman with a very simple conversion like the first to make it 12. I'm sure Brian Chambers behind them posts will have words to say to his side. He needs to get them rallied up. They're certainly not performing like they did at Headingley in the first half, as Chapman puts the ball between the posts for his second conversion of the game. And to make it now 12-0. And the hill has just turned to a mountain for Great Britain, and is increasing as the game goes on. It really does now need somebody in that pack to stand up and be counted. They've all got to start putting in 110% now if they're going to get anything from this game other than a real thrashing at the hands of these green and gold shirts from the Australian schoolboys. Stewart moving the ball to Pauling. Now here comes McIlwain. McIlwain runs straight into the Great Britain forwards. We've got to get involved like that there again. Maloney and number 10 Graham Morton just coming off the pack. Here goes Pauling again. Good tackle that time by Clark with Maloney as Clark goes for the kick. He read that one well, but Chapman skips away and gets the kick in. Maybe a chance here for Eddie and Spencer. He's in replacing Philip Holmes as he tries to go around Sidney Dominic and does that, but he won't go past McIlwain or number 4 Jamie Olnick. That's better play. There's Kelly off the shoulder of number 12 Simon Knox, and maybe the half break on if the ball can be moved wide. Andrew Rasburn tries to slip the ball to Danny Barker, but it was never on. Wilson knocks the ball back, still in play. Spencer decides he has to go it alone and gets nowhere at all. Another big hit from the Australian forwards. Here comes Danny Barker. A few Great Britain players stating that I've been given a bit of unfair compliments to Danny Barker. I'm sure to tell you, as Macon makes a good run, makes 5 yards or so, that there's no bias in this job. As the Australians come forward again, Chapman picking the ball up nicely from the kick through. There was no real support from that kick though. Stewart moving forward again. Here goes Best. Thanks. Good tackling from Macon coming over the top. Pauling. This is good driving from the Australians, but I'm sure there was a forward pass in there somewhere. Great Britain have not settled down in this game. It's quite obvious that they've not really been given the chance to by the Australians, but they've got to just settle things down, not concede any more points before half time. That is paramount, and try and get some points on the board themselves. Kelly putting in the kick immediately. That's not a bad idea, that, because the fullback and the centres have all moved up. Here comes Tim Patterson, who I assure you was the player to score that second try, and not Tim Horan as it was stated over the tannoy. And oh, that's another silly penalty. Craig Macon gets a pat on the shoulder from the Australians forward, Roger Best, but I'm sure he won't be feeling too happy about that. The advantage that was gained then has been lost, as Ellison was given no chance with a kick for touch. Ellison, who has, or will have if he could score here tonight, the feat of playing the Australians 3 times on this tour and scoring in all 3 games. He scored against for North West Counties against the Australians in the first game of the tour. He scored a real great try, better than we thought at the time against the Australians in the first test, as Dominic loses the ball and Simon Knox picks it up. And if he could get on the score sheet here today, he'd be one of the few people to score 3 times on a tour against the Australians. Makin throws the ball anywhere. Hassan gets the ball away. And then the Australian forwards pile into him. Now this is the chance where the Australians might be caught in the middle and the ball's got to be moved wide. As Maloney goes alone, or Clark rather goes alone. And again, Mr. Reid on from the far touchline. And this time it's going to go Great Britain's way, the penalty. A fist there in the tackle by Anthony Pauling. So the first real opportunity for Great Britain to put some pressure onto the Australians, and they've got to make some use of it as that kick goes not as far as it looked at first. Makin driving the ball in. So much is dependent on that. The forward for Great Britain, the number 8, Craig Makin from Wigan St Jude's. Here goes Maloney. Can't really get anywhere. Gets the ball away to Andrew Rasburn, but he's well held up. Now, what can they put on here? Kelly loses the ball, and I'm sure that will give Great Britain another 6 tackles, yes. Clark gets the ball to Maloney. Maloney puts the kick in. It looks a good one. Unfortunately, there's nobody there, and Horan will just let it drift out for the ball back in the 25. Or 22, whatever you like to call it. Here goes Stuart Collins. He's had a really good tour. I'm sure all these Australian lads have been looking to get back home, but they know they've got a job to do here tonight first, and they started extremely well with 2 tries and 2 conversions and a 12-0 lead. Stewart, the man who got the ball rolling with that try early on in the game after 8 minutes. Weston, who's got some excellent passing ability, but he's lost the ball there. Morton just couldn't get the pass away, or something could have been on them for Great Britain. Still it could be. Knox going forward, he's found half a gap. No support again though. It needed to be on his shoulder then, and then maybe something could still be provided. Kelly has to go it alone, or rather Danny Barker has to go it alone. Kelly wasn't there to pick up the ball, and when Barker looked for him, the ball had gone to ground, and Australia will get the scrum and the chance to release the pressure. Makepeace coming into the line from the scrum. Gets up to the 22. Here goes Pauling. Good tackling again for Great Britain. Barker and Maloney. And Hassan. Now Martin and Rasburn in there doing the knocking back job in the tackle. That time on Andrew McIlwain. As Chapman decides to hit the blind side, but there was no real support with him. Best driving the ball in. Making in there. And Knox. And now the kick will come in from Makepeace. Tyra running the ball in. Can he make any yardage? Puts his head down and drives the ball up. Just 10 shots or 15 yards short of the halfway line. Oh, that's an excellent tackle there from the Australian number 8, Best. And he makes another one as well. As did Tim Horan coming off the wing, 2 in a row from him too. Kelly, he'll put the kick in again. That's a nice kick from Neil Kelly. He does have a good touch around the feet. Playing standoff tonight, but he had a really good game at scrum half, in my point of view, as Rasburn misses the tackle, and Morton makes up for it in centre field. Morton and Barker pulling the Australian forward down. But every time one of the green and golds gets hold, they seem to gain some 10 yards forward. And again, the initiative is with them. Weston. Oh, that's a neat kick from Craig Weston. If he can pick it up first, yes he can. And he got a late hit from Adrian Spencer. So still Australia going forward. Great Britain trying to hold up. Here's Butner. Can he get the ball away, Michael Butner? Yes he can, but it's intercepted by Spencer. And Spencer will come forward for Great Britain. Barker goes to acting off and gets the ball away. And Knox tries to drive the ball in but doesn't really get that much forward, and then there's a slack mistake from John Clark. It's been very disappointing so far as the rain really starts to bucket down now. Here goes Dominic. Dominic's got a man outside him in number 5, Tim Patterson. Patterson throws it anywhere. Still in play, still with Australia. And the rain really now is bucketing it down. Here goes Pauling, trying to sneak over the line. Can't do so. Best goes to acting half. The Great Britain defence has got to be immaculate now as Best goes from dummy half, but he's held up short. Stewart to Chapman. Chapman now to Weston. Weston decides to go it alone now. Looks to release the ball, but he had too many Great Britain players around him. The blind side looks well open for Australia. If they can move it there, that's where it goes. Chapman with a long pass. Butner's there. Good tackling from Hassan. And Kerry Tyra coming in off his wing. Chapman, now he does put the kick in, but Great Britain should pick it up. Now they've lost it and it has to be kicked behind. Real panic stations there at the back again. So the rain just dies down a little. And the wind has been in Great Britain's favour in this first half. And the conditions you would expect to suit them more than Australia. As that kick does get well inside the Australian half, and Tim Horan has to scamper back to pick it up. Horan driving the ball in. He does like to run with the ball, but he's met with an excellent tackle from Adrian Rathburn. A superb tackle there on the halfway line. Here goes Collins. Tries to shrug off the Great Britain player making, but he'll not do that easily. Chapman to McIlwain. Kelly. And number 4, John Clark in there with a tackle. Chapman to Weston. Weston again with a death kick. It's a good one. Butner's going through the wave of green and gold players there, but Hassan makes a great pick up and a run. Oh, and then he loses the ball. There's a flag coming on the pitch. It's from the touch judge. Again, he spotted something. And again, I think it's going to be Australia to be penalised. 25 minutes or so gone of this game. Australia leading through those 2 tries around the 10-minute mark from Joshua Stewart and Tim Patterson. 2 goals from Damien Chapman as well. No reply from Great Britain as Macon tries to make up for that. McIlwain in there with a tackle, as was Collins coming over the top. Maloney gets the ball away to Knox. Knox tries to slip the ball in the tackle, but I feel that it was knocked on, yes, says Mr. Oddy. A lot of youngsters around the ground, but there is no real atmosphere, maybe because of the Australians stifling the game early on with those 2 tries, but maybe because really the conditions and the Great Britain performance so far hasn't really warranted any excitement. But I'm sure if they could get a try from somewhere, then Hilton Park will be lifted again. Because at the moment the atmosphere isn't here to lift the Great Britain players if they do need lifting, as Sidney Dominic picks up another penalty. That one for a high tackle by Craig Macon. Here goes Best. Oh, he's lost the ball in the tackle and Wilson will pick it up. Clark going it alone. Doesn't get much room though, as Wilson pushes off the Australian forwards. Rathburn driving the ball in, but again, he doesn't really make much yardage. Maloney gets the ball away, but that time he'll pick that ball up from the forward, making and maybe release Ellison. Ellison pushes off Patterson, or he tried to, but Patterson clung on then as Maloney puts in the kick now, and that looks a good one from Sean Maloney. Or is it going to just drift out? Yes, it is. That was unfortunate. Sean Maloney from Lee East. It's the right idea, wrongly executed unfortunately. Just ran away with the wind. Here goes Best again. He's done a lot of work in the forward driving position already in this game. Collins now. Good tackling again from Great Britain. They've got to be strong now. They've really got to put some pressure on the Australians, try and force the area in the tackle. McIlwain, he's one of the few forwards who it will be very difficult to do against. As the rain really coming down in sheets now. Chapman moving the ball to Weston. Weston gives it to Buckner. Buckner looks to the wing, but Makepeace really wasn't deep enough in deep enough in the line to run off to it with any power. Stewart brings in Patterson. Patterson loses the ball in the tackle. Knock on, says Mr. Oddy. And maybe here the platform for Great Britain. They've got to do something before half time. They've had the wind in this first half, and yet they're still 12-0 down. And so far, without real one clear-cut opportunity. Kelly moving the ball wide. Wilson there. Starting to get very muddy and very stoggy in that centre field. You've got to use the wings now. Maloney bringing in Hassan that time. Hassan really couldn't get anywhere though. As the rain goes again, here's Maloney to Kelly. Kelly with Rathburn off him, but Rathburn unable to break the line. That's a better pass. Ellison, let's see if he can move around his man. He has done. Good run from Danny Ellison. Then Buckner came in with a cover tackle after Patterson had initially missed him. Maloney to Kelly. Kelly with a high kick. That looks good. Real pressure under Makepeace here. The wave of Great Britain shit's coming forward. And they now have got to do the tackling. Best trying to get the ball away. Doesn't gain any yardage at all. Excellent kick again from Kelly. Australia trying to drive the ball out, but they're getting nowhere at the moment. The Great Britain forwards doing the job. Dominic trying to move away, gets 2 or 3 yards. And there goes McIlwain. He's, as we said before, one of the most difficult forwards to stop. Scott England, unfortunately, one of the forwards who would have played here today, was injured. As Maloney picks up the ball and Pauling has taken his place. As we said earlier, and he brings in Spencer, and that was a slack catch from Spencer. As Clark tries to kick at the play of the ball and gives away a penalty. There's been too many silly penalties given away. This time the Australians decide to go for the tap. Pauling driving the ball in. It's getting increasingly more difficult to spot them in this mud. Dominic coming forward. Good tackling from Great Britain. They really made sure that they put Dominic down hard then. Chapman to Weston. Oh no, he's not the ball on. Surely not the ball on. No, Mr. Oddy says it went back, but again the Great Britain tackling is fully committed. Buckner Can he move the ball wide? Yes, he can. Ellison in there with a tackle on Jamie Orlinet, moving to this right-hand side for the run. Chapman now put the kick in. It's got to come straight back, but it's just going to go into touch, yes. Spencer not taking any risk at all. Maloney feeds the scrum, but it's not come out right, and he'll have to dive on that ball to make sure it doesn't go into touch. And now he is in trouble, and there's no way he was going to stop himself going in there. Pauling and Chapman both coming in. And little Sean Maloney with no hope at all of keeping himself in play then. As Chapman fed the scrum then, so obviously Mr. Roddy should have picked up on that one. Patterson gets the ball away to Butner. Butner spots the gap, he needs support outside of him. Fortunately, the Great Britain cover was good enough to hold him up. Here goes Chapman, releases Dominic this time. Real pressure on Great Britain again. Pauling driving the ball in. Some 15 yards or so short of the Great Britain line, and now we'll surely see Australia hit the backs. Chapman misses out McIlwain, brings in Weston. Weston gets it to Butner. Butner straight away passes it out, but the Australian backs have moved up too quickly. Weston brings in Chapman. Surely Chapman knocked on, yes. Mr. Roddy spotted that one. And Sean Maloney's in no hurry at all. 3 minutes before the break. We could do, really Great Britain could do with some points as Ellison is brought in from the scrum. They're trying to bring him in more and more in this game. The Great Britain backs and half backs. Maloney. As Morton's brought down, and back it'll go for the kick from Spencer, and that's a good one from Adrian Spencer. Makepeace will have to run back for this. He needs a good chase as well though, as Makepeace decides to not take any risk at all and let the ball run into play. Chapman comes away with the ball from the scrum. Oh, and he's just been held up a little too long by Simon Knox, the Great Britain captain. It's another silly penalty though. We've seen far too many of them. I would like to see the penalty count, because I'm sure the Great Britain one against is now into double figures. The Australians must have had some 10 or 12 penalties in this first half already, as Collins makes a useful run there, gains 10 yards before Morton brings him down. McIlwain loses the ball. Great Britain not quick to pick it up, so we'll have to have the scrum. And now maybe a little bit of a fight there. Quickly broken up by Mr. Roddy. McIlwain at the bottom of it. Morton on the top. Certainly not one of the players I'd like to take on. Andrew McIlwain, very big forward. Spencer looks to release it. Dominic though makes the tackle before he can. Barker moving forward. As we do get the half-time whistle, the end of the first 35 minutes here at Hilton Park for the second test. An unfortunate scoreline so far, especially considering that Great Britain have played with the wind in this first 35 minutes. Australia going ahead after some 8 minutes to a try by Joshua Stewart rather, from acting half, converted by Damien Chapman. Patterson also came up with an interception try 2 minutes later. That also was converted by Chapman. That was the end of the scoring after 10 minutes. Great Britain have shown very little. Great Britain really do have a mountain to climb. Australia with the wind advantage in this second 35 minutes. Great Britain with it all to do. Knox driving the ball in. The captain for Barla Young Lions here tonight. Barker moving forward well. Now here goes Makin, and he releases. That's a nice ball there to Hassan. Hassan not able to get away though. Clark moving forward from East Leeds, and Australia being caught by Mr. Roddy for not straight at the play of the ball, and an early opportunity for Great Britain to put some pressure onto the Australians. They've really got to make sure, or got to try to make sure, of getting some points on the board early on in this second half. It's very important that they don't let the Australians run away with the game in this second 35 minutes and make the scoreline something equivalent to the one at Headingley. Here goes Spencer. Now Makin. They really have come out fired up for this second 35 minutes, Great Britain. Quick ball there from Makin, maybe a chance here to move the ball wide. No way for Rathbone now. Kelly, oh, not a kick, but he's picked off brilliantly by Wilson. Darren Wilson then picks off the kick from Kelly. It was a miss hit from Neil Kelly, the standoff for Great Britain. But it might still bring something forward. Maloney kicking it anywhere then, and Best picks the ball up quite easily. That was the wrong time to kick, as the ball was never played then, and real bizarre chain of events there. Roger Best seemed to have took a knock, took his time to play the ball, then missed the ball as he tried to play it, and then the Great Britain player decided he was going to dive on the ball, and Australia get the penalty, which Tim Patterson kicks into touch. Best going forward, quickly plays the ball. Here's McIlwin. Oh, that's a great run from McIlwin, but also an excellent tackle from number 9, John Clark. Pauling can't get through the Great Britain defence. Chapman moving the ball wide. Weston releases the pass, and maybe here a chance for Australia on Olinek. Just held up short of the 25. And Mr. Roddy signals that there was a knock on there as he went down. Jeremy Olnek. As Maloney comes away with the ball from the scrum, Kelly pushing forward. Needs some good driving now from the Great Britain forwards. Barker trying to do just that. Here goes Makin. Gains a good 5 or 10 yards before Best and Collins bring him to the ground. Kelly. Oh, that's an excellent ball from Kelly. Unfortunately, I think it's on that far side. Morton was unable to get through, or rather Simon knocks the captain. Spencer coming into the line, gets the ball away. Chance here for Tyre if he could have picked the ball up. Unfortunately, he lost it as he looked at the green and gold shirts coming into closing down. 5 minutes this second half gone. Still Australia leading through those 2 tries early on in the game. As the scrum wheels and the ball was kicked out then by a Great Britain player. I think it was Craig Makin there. Yes, wears his hand of apology. Remember, the Australians started off the tour with a 32 points to 6 win against North West Counties at Knowsley Road. Then there was a 28 points to 4 win against Cumbria at Whitehaven, a 38 points to 2 win against Pennine at Fartown Huddersfield, a 28 points to 1 win against Post Office Road Featherstone. The Hull game was postponed. Then the first test, 44 points to 12. The President's 13 went down 28 points to 2 at Watersheddings Oldham. And now the second test here at Hilton Park, and Great Britain are behind 12 points to 0 with some 30 minutes or so left of the game. And at the moment it looks very unlikely that any British side is going to come up with a win as Stewart goes away. releases the ball to Chapman, but he just couldn't get the ball away. Options on here for Weston. Oh, he showed too much of the ball then to Maloney and Hassan, when he really should have been looking to get the ball away. Chapman brings in Collins. Collins blockbustering his way through. He's held up short of the line, or is he? Yes, Collins a yard or so short. No, the Australian back's lined up. Stewart decides to go it alone. Has he got over? No, he's held up short. And I think Great Britain have come up with the ball. Yes, they have. And Australia caught inside the 5. And Great Britain getting a penalty and a chance to relieve the pressure. And I think Great Britain also are going to make a substitution in the next few minutes. A few white and blue shirts warming up. One of them's got stripped off. As Great Britain for a moment have a player receiving attention. As the kick for touch gets blown back a few yards before it does finally reach the touchline. Tyver's going to have to put up with that in this second half, playing against the wind and rain. Kelly and Maloney both moving the ball wide, but there's nothing really on again for Great Britain. Clark going forward. He also can't find any gaps. And now they will get the kick. Spencer puts it in, but it's straight at Makepeace. Not a good kick from Adrian Spencer, and Makepeace will run it straight back. And he'll also look to his winger on that far side. Patterson brought down inside the Great Britain half, and now maybe a chance for Australia to release their backs. Butner, Chapman, Weston. Weston decides he's going to keep hold of the ball again. No, he does release it. And finally Simon Knox comes in with a tackle. Chapman and Knox Jolf have a little fallout, but the penalty will not be for that. It'll be for Great Britain encroaching in the 5. Another great kick from Patterson, and it's going to take a miracle really for Great Britain to hold out the Australians here on their line. Great Britain look likely that they want to make the substitution in the next few minutes. Best just held up short. Now the ball being moved wide. Chapman brings in Dominic into the line. Here's Chapman again. Weston this time. Weston throws the ball behind. Chance here for Tyree if he can get away. Kerry Tyree's got support with Kelly. But unfortunately the Australians were quick to the situation. Tyree again, he spotted a gap. Horan with a tackle, still Tyree going through. Dominic being blockbusted away then, but he managed to just hold him up. Barker gets the ball away from Acton half. Kelly to Maloney. Maloney, that's an excellent long pass to Wilson. Wilson looks around for support, but he can't get the ball away, and some 10 or 15 yards were lost then in that passing movement. Clark now going forward, and he's lost the ball, kicked on by Knox, but Australia will come up with the ball with Chapman. Good tackle again from Kelly. And Australia too looking like they're going to make a substitution in the next few minutes. As Stewart moves forward. Two dummy half runs have gained some 20 yards, a lot farther than 6 drives from Great Britain in the whole game, as the Australians look to open up the Great Britain defence again. Weston that time on the run. Here's Chapman. Here's Butner. That was a slack pass, but Horan picks it up. And Kerry, Tyra and Phil Hassan make excellent tackles. as Best puts the kick straight into touch. And that, I think, was the sixth tackle, so it'll be a turnover, yes. Mr. Roddy signalling that the 6 tackles have been played. Here goes Makin. Oh, excellent tackle from McIlwain. He met him head on then. 6'6" versus 6'6", and Makin takes a long look at Andrew McIlwain. You're really seeing defence at its best here from the Australians, as Spencer comes in the line and releases the ball to Wilson. Wilson tries to get his winger away, but he's pushed into touch before he can do so. And Australia now, I think, will look to make their substitution, as will Great Britain, as there's a little bit of argy-bargy going on. Yes, Richard Tiffany. Replacing Graham Morton from Kells. And Sean Ryan has simultaneously replaced Andrew McIlwain. So 2 substitutions as Ryan takes his first drive of the game and loses the ball, and number 17, the other substitute, Richard Tiffany, picks it up. Ryan in there to try and make up for his mistake. Here goes Tiffany. You can spot Tiffany. He's still got a clean jersey, or he did have a clean jersey. He's not now. That's an excellent ball wide to Tyra. Oh, Tyra's not down, but he managed to get the ball away first to Spencer. Spencer throws it aside for Hassan, who's dumped down there, and Hassan's not pleased about that tackle from Stewart, but there's little more he can do about it. There was nothing wrong at all with a hit from Joshua Stewart. Perfectly illegal. And very penetrating. Chapman feeds the scrum. It looks like it's going to come out for Great Britain now, straight through. Discussed around me. But the scrum will have to be retaken. A little bit of feeling creeping into this game, and it should have been here a long time ago. Maloney to Kelly. Kelly to Hassan. Hassan, can he get the ball away? If he could have done, there was an overlap on the far side. That's where they've got to go again. No, Maloney decides to go it alone, and the initiative for the moment has been lost. Makin driving the ball in. Doesn't gain much yardage that time though. Pauling in with a tackle around his legs. There goes Knox, the captain. That's a good tackle kick from Simon Knox, and Makepeace initially made the mistake and then recovered. Great Britain have got to pin them now. Australia shouldn't have not to be allowed any room at all as the ball goes down, and Great Britain look to have come up with it. Yes, says Mr. Roddy. It's very hard to pick out the players on that far side, especially in these conditions. But that's Simon Knox, and he releases the ball to Kelly. Kelly, chance here for Great Britain. Hassan. Oh, good tackling again from the Australian backs. Here's Kelly. Brings in Maloney. Maloney, oh, he just can't release the pass. Roger Richard Tiffany. Here is Maloney, and he drops the ball, and that's going to be a knock on. And the hope that was just starting to come about has been lost again for the minute as 2 players go down. An Australian one on the far side, a Great Britain one in the pack. 16 minutes of this second half gone. There's some 19 minutes or so left for Great Britain to come up with some tries here to get themselves back in the game, as Sidney Dominic, it looks like, has gone off. Yes, Sidney Dominic going off. And number 14, Craig Simon, coming on. Dominic's not had the impact here normally has in games like this. He scored 2 tries, remember, in that first test match. He's been well marked here tonight. It's the Great Britain player down there. Wilson gets to his feet. Chapman, who lost the last scrum, gets this one away. Here goes Makepeace. Gets up to the 22. And then was held down a bit too long for Mr. Oddie's liking. And Australia get another penalty, and Knox wants to have a word about that one. That is the captain's privilege, but I'm sure he won't get any joy from Mr. Oddie. Certainly haven't run away with it in this second half. In fact, we've yet to have a point in this second 35 minutes, and it's some 17 minutes old. For the moment, Great Britain's defence holding firm. Here goes Ryan. Good tackling again from Great Britain. They've done a lot of those gang tackles, getting 4 or 5 men in there. Best driving the ball in again. Great Britain getting 4 or 5 men in a tackle. Knox in there, as was Makin and Maloney. As Joshua Stewart loses the ball, but he gets it away finally to Collins. And again the gang tackle. Every Great Britain forward giving 110% now. The question begs, why didn't they do it in the first half? Chapman puts in the kick to pin them back though. Spencer will pick it up. Can't go around his man. Weston in there with a tackle to pin Great Britain inside the 5. They're really getting nowhere at all, and they're going to get a dropout as well. He's been pulled behind the line. Great Britain forward down that. And surely now the chance for Australia to get the try that will kill the game off. And not a good kick out either by Spencer. That won't help things as Simon goes forward inside the 10. Australians bunching around the play of the ball. Best driving the ball in. Maybe they're going to try and bulldoze their way through this time. Here's Best again. This time to Chapman. Chapman brings in Weston. Weston's going to go over for the try. Yes, there it is. That's surely the deciding score of the game. The third try of the match, and it's come some 19 minutes into the second half. Craig Weston confirmed over the tannoy, the try scorer. It's the third try of the game. They've had to wait some half an hour, 40 minutes or so since the last one after 10 minutes by Tim Patterson. But Craig Weston will surely settle the Australian nerves now, and if Chapman can put over the conversion, it will take a real humongous effort for Great Britain to get back in the game. It was going to take that anyway from 12-0 down, because no side has yet put more than 12 points past this Australian side, and it will be very unlikely if Australia concede that many now to this Great Britain side. With some 15 minutes or so of the game left. Chapman looking for his third kick of the game. Oh, he's messed that one up, Craig. Damien Chapman. Not like him at all then. Seemed to rush his kick for a moment. Maybe the mud just getting in his way. Bob Appleyard has just come on for John Clark, and Daniel Williams has come on for Australia, but I'm yet to see who is replaced. Great Britain have got to keep their heads. They've got to make sure that they don't let the Australians run away with the scoreline and try and pick up some consolation for themselves as now they're starting to open them up. Daniel Williams, the substitute, now going through. Spencer makes a good tackle. Chapman to Weston. Butner outside of him. Butner now. Oh, his pass was a slack one. Chance here for Great Britain if they can pick the ball up cleanly. Fortunately, unable to do so. Hassan moving forward. And there's Bob Appleyard, the substitute, making some inroads into the Australian defence. Maloney brings in Macon. Macon throws the ball anywhere, but he gets away with it. Hassan picks it up, and then he's brought down. Maloney to Kelly. Kelly moving the ball to Knox. Knox the long pass, but no real depth in the line again. As Knox it is who puts the kick in. That's a good one. It split the defence. Makepeace picking it up. Now Williams again. Moving up to the halfway line. Collins looking to release the ball, but Great Britain with too many players around him to let him do that. As Pauling looked to have lost the ball for a minute. Appleyard, Macon and Rasburn all in there with a tackle. Chapman to West to Makepeace this time. Makepeace spotted that there was a half gap in front of him. Just couldn't get through it. And then Chapman puts in a very useful kick there to put the pressure back on Great Britain. As Glenart provides Australia with their last substitution of the game. Craig Weston going off after scoring that try a few minutes ago. And Glenart, a very capable standoff come scrum half, replacing him. Australia now putting the pressure on. Chance here surely for them. Just held up short of the line, maybe have turned over. Yes, try. The fourth one of the game, and that really has killed it off now. And I think the player to be pulled off will be Stuart Collins. I'll wait for confirmation of that, but Australia then really did run through the Great Britain line and it was very ragged. Yes, Stuart Collins coming up with a try. He bulldozes his way through. A very typical run from the number 10. And now things just starting to look a bit depressing for the Barla Young Lions. Stuart Collins from Jesmond High School in the Steeler Port City of Newcastle, New South Wales. 17 years old, 6'1" tall, weighs in at 14 stone 11 pound. An extremely mobile forward, he's just shown us that. He's represented both City and New South Wales at under 17 level this year alone. His aim is to represent Australia at senior level, which all of the players in the side want to, and also to be a PE teacher, which is something very common among the side, as Chapman makes sure that conversion. That's 3 from 4. As Jamie Allnet gets a bit of a boost from the youngsters down here below us. It's all in good nature though. And the score moves up to 22 points now to 0. It's important though that Great Britain get on the score sheet. They've got some 10 minutes or so to do it. You really don't want to be nailed. That would be as big a disappointment as the defeat, which is staring them in the face now. Ryan driving his way through. There's gaps opening up now all the way through the Great Britain defence, and not surprisingly the fight that has been boiling over the last 20 minutes or so starts to erupt, and there's all hell flying now in the middle of the field. Great Britain have lost their rag totally, and the Australians are joining back in and really This is not what we like to see as the substitution on the pitch. This is getting out of hand totally. And it really does need somebody to come in and pull this off. Every player on the pitch is getting involved. The substitutes of both sides, the officials on the pitch, but they're not doing much that good job of tidying things up. I'm not quite sure what started it off, but once it did start, there was no stopping either side. And if Great Britain were going to play those tactics, they should have done that in the first 10 minutes. It was really far too late to start doing stuff like this. It will only end up, and a lot of people receiving disciplinary measures and then in a lot of trouble. The two touch judges having words with Mr. Oddy. Mr. Reid and Mr. Towell certainly putting in their 2 penneth as 2 or 3 players from either side are called in. I think it would be unfair to single out one player here. It was a real both teams doing the damage as Craig Makin looks to have been sent off, at least Simbin. Craig Makin has left the field, and I think, yes, number 16, Sean Ryan, who's not been on the field that long, is also leaving the pitch as well. So that's a player off either side sent off. Sean Ryan for Australia and Craig Makin. That will be a big loss for Great Britain. Craig Makin has also been told to leave the field as well. I'm not quite sure whether they've either been sin-binned or sent off. It wouldn't surprise me if they've both been sent off after a real terrible way to end this tour. And you've got to say that's a bit of sour grapes from Great Britain. Kelly bringing in Knox. Rathbone now driving forward. Like I said before, if Great Britain were going to do them tactics, they should have done them early on the game. I'm not saying you should condone things like that. It's not on as Great Britain go through and Makepeace does a good tidying up job at the back. If you're going to win a rugby game, you should win it fair and square, but it does seem to me as if Great Britain doing stuff like that has left it far too late, and the Australians really were very silly for being drawn into it. Very indisciplined display from both sides in that last 5 minutes. Spencer driving the ball in. It's certainly fired up both sets of forwards and backs. Appleyard to Maloney. Maloney brings in Rathbone again, but he'll not gain any yardage there at all. Maloney to Kelly. Kelly moves the ball wide, but again no way through. Glenn Iron with a tackle that time. As again Great Britain hit the blind side. The kick this time doesn't work, and Australia will come away with the ball. 5 minutes of the game left. Buckner throws the long ball wide. It's not a good one. Appeals for knock-on against Craig Makepeace, and it's given. And we're going to see another substitution from Great Britain. I've got a feeling it's going to be number 15, Kerry Brookfield, coming on. Neil Kelly leaving the field. And number 14, Craig Murdoch, is actually coming on. Damien Chapman just stays down for the moment, or rather, not Damien Chapman, one of the Australian forwards. I think it's maybe Roger Best, just staying down there in the pack to release some attention. In fact, it's Joshua Stewart. Maloney feeds the scum and gets away with the ball. Here's Murdoch, brings Spencer into play. Pauling with the tackle. Maloney to Murdoch. That's a good ball from Murdoch to Danny Ellison. Ellison trying to go down the touchline, and I think he may just have been pushed into touch, yes. And for the first time in the game, Ellison was able to see a bit of daylight down that touchline. As I was saying before, if he could pick up a try in this game, he would have a very interesting record of playing in 3 games against the Australians in this tour and scoring all 3. At the moment, it doesn't look like happening. Stewart moving forward. Here's Williams. Oh, he's lost the ball, and Great Britain will pick it up. Hassan moving forward. Collins in with the tackle. And Sean Ryan coming in, or rather Glenn Eyre coming in over the top as Bob Appleyard goes on his own and then throws the ball back really to nobody. Spencer decides he's going to pick it up and then knocks the ball on. As we get the man of the match coming through, Craig Makin picking up the man of the match award for Great Britain, and Damien Chapman picking up the man of the match award for Australia. Makin, remember, he got sent off a few minutes ago, let a very good display down as Stewart walks through the defence and releases Williams. Williams will go under the post, surely, yes, he's got the speed to make it, and Williams, as there's a clash into the post, and that really did look nasty, but Williams went over for the try, as the Great Britain player will have to receive some attention down there. I think it was Craig Murdoch. He really did collapse into the post in an attempt to stop Williams going over. It marred an excellent try, that, from Daniel Williams. A real excellent one from Joshua Stewart. I apologise for getting mixed up with Roger Best there. They do look quite similar in some ways. But it was Stewart's run that provided Williams with that try. And with some 3 or so minutes left of this game, the Australians now in a very comfortable position. Some 26 points to 0 in front after scoring now 6 tries in this game. Or rather 5 tries in the game. We'll get the sums right. And if Chapman can put over the conversion, he'll have had 4 successful kicks through the posts. Remember, just that one failure in the second half. So the Australians are going to go home with an undefeated record. 7 wins out of 7 here on the Great Britain shore. And I'm sure they'll all be well pleased with that. Peter Solis will certainly be pleased about the performance here tonight. Maybe a bit disappointed about the brawler, but I'm sure that he'll put that aside because they've had a very comprehensive win again here tonight. And not for the first time on the tour we've seen the difference really between the Barla Young Lions and the Australian schoolboys shown up to great effect as the stretcher is now coming on. It's going to be the second disappointing end to this game if the player down there, which I think, as I said before, was Craig Murdoch, has to be stretchered off. Certainly the difference has been shown up to be less great than it was 4 years ago, but the difference is still there. Some will say that this side is only the Barla side, and maybe in 4 years' time the Australian schoolboys will be playing the whole of the Great Britain under-19 youngsters. As I said before, I think it's Craig Murdoch gets stretched off the field to the applause from around the ground, and rightly so. Chapman puts the kick through the post for his 4th conversion of the game and increases the lead now to 28 points to 0. And the whole of normal time is now up. We are 2 minutes into injury time, in fact. So it looks very unlikely that Great Britain will get on the score sheet here. And they'll be the first team on the tour to not to do so. Spencer picks up the ball. Maybe we could have one last run from him to create something. No. The tackling from Australia again is good. Great Britain moving the ball forward. Maloney moving the ball wide, but really nobody there at all. Here's Tyra. Can he take on his man outside? No. Good tackling from Horan. And then throws it back inside, looking for a somebody. He'll not find him. We're now deep into injury time at the end of this game. Fifth tackle coming up for Great Britain. And Maloney will put the little chip in. And there was no way that any of those Great Britain players were onside them. And not surprisingly, Australia will come up with a penalty. And Australia looking to really make the score convincing now in this last few minutes with a try in the dying seconds of the game. Gets the ball to Butner. Butner strokes through one tackle and then gives the ball to Olinek. Olinek drops the ball in the tackle and Great Britain come up with the ball. Knox, the English captain, who's run all the game, never once shirked on his work. As the ball's lost by Richard Tiffany, and here comes Makepeace. Horan driving the ball in. Brookfield and Tiffany in there with the tackling, as is Barker. Now, oh, that's an excellent pass from there. Just didn't have the length to reach the centre on the far side. As we do get the final whistle, the end of the British Gold second test between Barla Young Lions and Australian Schoolboys has ended, not surprisingly, in a second test win for Australia. Great Britain now without a win in some 15 or 20 games against Australia, and it's been another disappointing end for Great Britain on a tour that at the beginning promised so much for them. The Australians maybe have not fulfilled the promise or the expectations that were so high really at the start of the tour, but have convincingly won all their games by some 20 or 30 points. Let's quickly run through the scores here tonight. Well, we had tries from Joshua Stewart and Tim Patterson in the first half. The second half saw Weston, Collins, Williams all getting on the score sheet. And we also had 4 conversions by Damien Chapman. Just looking down at a sheet, that was what the confusion was reigning there. There was no points from Great Britain. That was the most disappointing factor. The brawl near the end also didn't help matters. The 2 players sent off, Craig Makin and Sean Ryan, well, I'm sure both began ticking off from their respective coaches, but it's been a pleasing end for Australia. They've come up with 7 wins from 7 games. The tour score sheet reads like a magic book. 30 points, 32 points to 6 against Northwest Counties, 28 points to 4 against Cumbria, 38 points to 2 against Pennine, 28 points to 1 against Yorkshire, 44 points to 12 in the first test match. The Presence 13 were dispatched, 28 points to 2, and now the last test match, the second test match here at Hilton Park, Australia 28, Great Britain 0.